Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spirits of Massachusetts. I'm Cody Mason, and in today's episode, we're going to cover the Hoosac Tunnel. This tunnel is an active railway tunnel stretching from North Adams to Florida, Massachusetts. The tunnel's name, Hoosac, is an Algonquin word that means place of stones. It was originally proposed to be a canal connecting upstate New York to Boston through the Hoosic River, but this plan was scrapped. Alva Crocker, a paper mill owner from Fitchburg, was a major promoter of the Hoosac Tunnel project and would go on to form the Fitchburg Railroad to Boston. Although Crocker promoted the Hoosac Tunnel, it was mostly engineered by other firms and was picked up by the state of Massachusetts after the project went bankrupt. From 1851, the project would be shut down and restarted a few times before finally being finished in 1873. The creation of the Hoosac Tunnel was a landmark achievement in civil engineering, and was at one point one of the longest railways in North America. However, the records the tunnel set are not what it is known for. Rather, it is infamous for the amount of lives it has claimed over the 20-plus years of its construction. Nearly 200 workers had been seriously injured or killed by accidents during construction, with 135 deaths confirmed. The deadliest accident by far occurred on October 17, 1867, when a candle in the hoist building ignited naphtha fumes in the central shaft. The hoist was set ablaze and fell into the shaft, trapping 13 men over 500 feet below. The pumps burst and flooded the shaft with water, and a worker was lowered in the next day in an attempt to rescue the men trapped down there. Unfortunately, the fumes overpowered this worker and he reported no survivors. Months later, more workers reached the bottom of the shaft and discovered that the victims had survived long enough to create a makeshift raft before they perished. Another grim tale hailing from the bloody pit is the murder of Ringo Kelly. 2 years prior, in 1865, the explosive material nitroglycerin was brought to America. In March of that year, 3 explosive experts, Ed Brinkman, Billy Nash, and Ringo Kelly, would use this new material to help with the construction of the Hoosac Tunnel. The trio placed a charge and ran to a bunker to shield them from the blast. However, Ringo Kelly would detonate the charge before the other two could make it to safety, burying Brinkman and Nash alive. Kelly disappeared soon afterwards, and suspicion of foul play would arise. Kelly wouldn't be seen again until over a year later, in March of 1866, where his body was found in the Hoosac Tunnel, in the exact spot Brinkman and Nash were killed. The police deduced that Kelly had been strangled in the early morning, and although it was thoroughly investigated, no suspects were found. The construction workers in the tunnel grew to believe that the tunnel was haunted, and a rumor began that Kelly had been murdered by the vengeful spirits of his fallen co-workers. Because of these rumors, and the belief that the tunnel was cursed, many workers would walk off the job and refuse to enter the tunnel once more. In June of 1872, Dr. Clifford J. Owens would come into the tunnel to investigate it alongside James R. McKinstry, a drilling operations superintendent. It's unknown why they traveled into the tunnel that night, but it is believed that they went in search of ghosts. The duo traveled 2 miles into the tunnel and stopped to rest for a second, with only their lamps providing light. Dr. Owens would report a strange noise akin to groans of pain and a dim light coming from the west. Owens is quoted as saying, "At first, I believed that it was probably a workman with a lantern. Yet, as the light grew closer, it took on a strange blue color and appeared to change in shape into the form of a human being with no head. The light approached the 2 men, almost close enough to touch them, before vanishing into the eastern portal." Owens wrote that he was, quote, "above all a realist, and not prone to repeating gossip and wild tales that defy reasonable explanation. Yet, he couldn't dispute what he and James McKinstry saw in the bloody pit." 100 years later, the spirits of workers past would continue to watch those that entered the tunnel. Joseph Impoco, a railroad employee, truly believed that the tunnel was haunted. He even had his own paranormal experiences that he liked to share. The first experience he recalled was the time he had been shipping ice away from the tracks, when he heard a voice telling him to run. He turned around to see a train coming at him, and he jumped away from the track. 6 weeks later, he was using a crowbar to free freight cars from the frozen tracks, when he heard the same voice yell at him to drop the crowbar. No sooner did he drop it, it was jolted with 11,000 volts of electricity and thrown against the tunnel wall due to a short-circuited power line. and Poco would leave his job working at the Hoosac, but would visit the tunnel every year to pay homage to the spirit that he believes saved his life twice. One year, his wife became sick and he failed to make his pilgrimage to the tunnel. Unfortunately, his wife would pass that October, and Joe attributed it to him not making it to the tunnel. Stories like this created a new surge of interest in the Hoosac Tunnel amongst paranormal investigators. Ghost hunters would walk into the tunnel with audio recording equipment in an attempt to capture audio of ghosts whispering and speaking. Of course, there were skeptics who didn't believe in ghosts and thought that these attempts to ghost hunt were fruitless. One such skeptic was Bernard Hastaba, who entered the Hoosac Tunnel through the east portal and aimed to come out of the west portal unscathed. He would never emerge, and no remains of his were ever found. Plenty of other ghost hunters would go on to share their own experiences exploring the tunnel, and locals swear to this day that spirits and voices are common to experience while near the tunnel. As of 2023, at least 5 trains pass through the Hoosac each day. Because of this, ghost hunting there for yourself isn't advised. It's obviously incredibly dangerous to walk along an active railroad track. It didn't earn the nickname the Bloody Pit for no reason. That's all I've got for today, folks. What do you think? Could the Hoosac Tunnel truly be haunted? If so, are the spirits vengeful or helpful? That's up for you to decide. I'm Cody Mason, and this has been Spirits of Massachusetts.